Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time we got something a little different. Last week or so, I took a look at in the Eagle British comic paper. This time, I'm going to take a look in the Wizard British comic paper. But before we do that, remember, I've got my two books available. Hey, Christmas is coming. Got Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology, which is a little book with some humor and a little bit of adventure. And if I can find somebody humor stuff again, yeah, right there. And then we have Bizarre Brain Comics Presents Heroes. It's a little more mainstream with some superhero stuff and got a Western story, got some horror stuff in there, and they're all a lot of fun. They are suitable for children. No foul language, no sex, nothing like that. And $7.99 each, available online from Amazon and Barnes & Noble online store and some other online outlets. And the best way to get it is just Google Bizarre Brain Comics Presents Heroes or Anthology. And it will come right up and it'll give you a link directly to it. So, thanks to everyone who's got theirs. Put it on your Christmas list if you don't have yours. Or you might want to get it for somebody. Maybe one of the kids might like it. Okay, now we have The Wizard. The Wizard says, whoops, the super picture story paper for boys. Okay, The Wizard, British comic. This particular issue is from, I wrote that wrong, September 4th, 1976. It's out every Monday. It's weekly. It was a weekly publication. It is an anthology, so it has several, actually parts of several stories, mostly. It's a British story paper published weekly by D.C. Thompson and Company. And it was started in 1922, running until it merged with The Rover in 1963 with a total of 1,970 issues. Then it became Rover and Wizard. Then the Wizard part of the name was dropped in 1969. But then the Wizard was relaunched, that's this version of it, relaunched in 1970 and continuing until June of 1978. Some features in the paper were, over the years, this is none of them that's in this one, Logan of the Lancers, Blazing Ace of Spades, which was an aviation strip, The Q Team, which is about a soccer team, Wilson, the Wonder Athlete, I think that says it all, and, ooh, I didn't spell it right. Wolf of Kabul. That was a spy story. And none of those are in this one. This is has some different stuff. Because I guess they would run their time, run an overall story, and then something else would take the place, and then if it was popular enough, that particular character would come back with another storyline or something. So in this, his paper, it's and when I showed the Eagle, the cover was actually a page from of the story, but it's not that case here, and it is indeed an illustration depicting an event in one of the stories, and it says the boulder rocks But can Derek's sword blades stand the strain and heave it over on the attacking Vikings? See the blade of the Falcon. And I wanted to talk a little bit about production here, because the interiors are black and white with some occasion, like in the center spread or something, usually have one print, one color besides black. And here, this is 4-color printing process. This is not what we see anymore. This is what was done in the newspapers and our American comics as well. And with 4-color printing, you can get full color. So you like here we see all the color on the back side of this issue, but they're using more limited colors on the front, and that is a design decision. Now, our colors for the reason why it's called 4-color printing is because you have 4 colors: black, which is all our line art, black, yellow, you can see the yellow there, magenta, which is our red, and cyan, which is the blue. But this is not, you see, but if you look here, if you can make it out, you can see 2 different shades of red. For example, all this red here is backed up with yellow. And then you have the cyan on top of it, which gives it this orangish red look, which is what I know as international orange from when I was in the Navy. That's what we called it. It was called it. Then the blue, you see the blue there, and here, got different shades of it because it's in separations. It's done to give you the dot pattern, the Ben-Day dot pattern, and then you also have the solid colors. Gives you the blue, which is the cyan. That's pure cyan on there. But then you have stuff like these grays here, and it's got some little bit of purple down here. So all this is a mixture of all 3 colors. Especially down here, there's more red in it to give it a purple look to separate it from the rest of it. And that is all I'm going to talk about in 4-color printing process. But this is a good example to see how those original colors and how they look, because you got this is the cyan raw all by itself, but you can see how it comes out as full color. Okay, enough of that. And we'll start off with the blade of the Falcon, and this is Derek, who is a Saxon chieftain, and they are fighting against and being pursued by a Viking raiding party, led by Rolga the Wolf. Now, well, these kind of stories, this is all adventure, sometimes with some humor in the adventure, but it's no superheroes. This is reminiscent of the kind of stuff that we used to have in the U.S. in our for the adventure comic strips, which have gone by the wayside with very few exceptions, and regular comic books in the 40s and 50s. There were a lot of them like this, but they have all been subsumed, just like the romance comics, and most of the science fiction comics have all been subsumed into superheroes. All those things have become elements of the superheroes. But one thing I like and this stuff is so cool. I've got a few other issues, and I'll be looking at those too. They but like as I said, the artist stylizations are a little different. This is a paper. It's not even stapled, and it's like an enlarged version of a newspaper, Sunday newspaper comic section, except it's all in black and white. So they're on the run. They go aground, run up the cliff because there's a light up there, and they wind up tossing boulders down on the Vikings, and they find it's an ancient tower with a bronze mirror, and they blind their opponents with the mirror, and they wind up rushing off. Then we have and this is a lot of fun reading. Then here have Big Five, is it Big Five or Big V? Rules, okay. And this is a story about soccer, and I'm not even going to get into that. But what's neat here is you get some of the mini comics, European style mini comics ads here. Action stations, these are all war comics. That's cool stuff. And the paper, there we go. I have some little stuff here. Hey, Weekly Wizard. So, then we get Huck McPhee, which takes place in the American frontier. Looks like a colonial period, maybe around from the looks of it, maybe around the War of 1812. Correction, the French and Indian War. And our lead character, Huck McPhee, has just been hosted by some Delaware Indians, and that's why he's dressed and looks like one of the Delaware, and has been framed for a murder, and is being pursued by soldiers from this fort. But meanwhile, he is this other, what are they, Hurons? I don't remember what tribe it is, attacking him, thinking he's a Delaware and an enemy, and he is captured and tied up. But his dog, Spots, has gotten away and comes back to rescue him, freeing his hands, and they slink away. And he gets away to rush ahead because he heard about this tribe's intentions to attack and wipe out this settlement farther down the road. He gets there, tries to warn people, and the guy he meets doesn't believe him because he knows who he is, and says he's a traitor and a renegade. And so Huck has to do it himself. He rigs up a trap with stone falls in a narrow gorge as they're approaching in their canoes, and he has won the day and ready for it. Next week, Huck faces the flashing fangs of a killer cougar. Then we have Blake's Blenheim. This is a World War II story, and it's about pilots. And this is in North Africa, flying off of Malta, and their mission is to go with the bombing raid, but they don't have bombs. They're there to take pictures. Some really nice artwork of the tanks, the weapons, and the aircraft, and all this has some of the characters just despise each other, but they are thrown together in this pressure cooker of an aircraft during war, and they review their the pictures that they took and see that there's something hidden, and suddenly they're under it. They're being shelled. How are they being shelled from so far away? They're no aircraft. They realize it's a gun. They take off, load up some bombs. They take off. They're the only ones that take off. They're the only ones who know what the attack is. They fly in and they bomb that gigantic gun, which Germans had those things during the war, and bomb it and saves everybody. Then we have here, this is Last Marine, a Simon Gaunt story. He would be telling, this is the character host who, and you can see they used one color, or actually two colors, since it's black and green, and some of the other issues have, they vary the color. It's just in the center spread for some variety. And this is telling the story. You may have heard, depending on your age, how on some of the islands in the South Pacific after the war, years, even decades later, lone Japanese soldiers were found surviving on islands, sometimes still protecting them or hiding away. Well, there's one story of a Marine who got left behind when the rest of his unit was attacked and captured, but he got left behind, and he spent decades by himself on that island till this. Here you see this looks like a DC-3 lands. And he puts on his old uniform that he hasn't worn in years to greet the people, and they come out and he sees that there are some army officers, but then there's what he doesn't realize is Japanese terrorists. The plane had been hijacked, and it turns out the commander of the Japanese force that had been on this island and captured his old unit was one of the hostages, as well as an American officer. And he rushes in, and without knowing anything about this, he saves them and takes out the terrorist hostages, the terrorists, but is killed himself. So he died a hero there, decades after the war. And here's a spy type story. I'm not going to go into details. Called Simpson. And it's fun. He's undercover. He acts like a doofus, because so people don't know that he is actually a spy, and he's here to protect some foreign dignitary. They even have a text story. It's much longer than the text stories we would get in the American comics. And then Inspector Jellicoe's casebook. This is slightly kind of humorous. He's telling us a story about some crooks and how they got caught, went to jail, got out, went back to do another job, and then got caught again for sheer stupidity. And then last bus from Brussels. This is a lively adventure when at the early stages of World War II, and there's some schoolboys in Brussels, and they as it's being invaded by the Germans, they take off looking for safety, and they happen to have some bus that was on display. It was a British double-decker bus on display, and they take off. They're trying to get to safety, run into some at a bridge, run into some French soldiers. They just have to spend the night there, but during the night, some German soldiers get there, but they don't hear any fighting and stuff. In the morning, the French soldiers are gone. They try to clear the bridge so they can get by. See that it has been set up with explosives. They rush across there and then blow the bridge up just before the German army with their tanks and stuff can cross the bridge. And then we have little things here on the back that record breakers. This is Ronald Hamilton carried a brick 40 miles in one hand in a downward position to capture the record for the annual Norogan brick carrying contest in Western Australia, and other little tidbits like that. And I just love to see more of these. I wish we had gotten some of these in the U.S. And Gray Man, if you happen to be watching, I bet you got not necessarily this title, but you've probably got several British comics of this type in your collection. Have you ever shown them on your channel? If not, give us a view of some of them, especially ones that I don't have access to. Okay, thank you for joining. Please like, share, subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. What do you think of this Wizard, the Super Picture Story paper for boys? And remember, comics are art.